Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Tonight we have a late night insight video on a Parfums de Marly fragrance. Yes, a Parfums de Marly fragrance. And this is called Shagya. So, outside of the terrible Austin Powers jokes, this fragrance is sort of a perfect representation of the brand. I'm just going to do a fresh spray because somebody very kindly sent me this decant and I forgot who. And if you guys know me, you know that I go everywhere in the perfume world, and I talk about things that most people would not expect me to talk about. I like to kind of go all over and give my opinions, even on stuff that most people think I will hate. So, Shagya. If you go to YouTube, by the way, if you want a little bit of a laugh at kind of what a joke Fragcom is sometimes, go and look up Parfums de Marly Shagya. You've got one guy saying, best rose oud, there's no rose in here. You have another guy comparing this to Green Irish Tweed, which that's completely insane. And then you've got Demi Rawlings saying, make her drool, you know, with her low-cut shirt. And that video has like 200,000 views, which absolutely boggles the mind. So, Shagya by Parfums de Marly. Parfums de Marly is a house that I hate. Well, I take that back. I don't hate them, but I strongly dislike them at this point in my journey. I did buy a couple Parfums de Marly, and you know what? There are times, usually once a year, where I have the urge to wear a fragrance like this. This is Herod, and this is Layton. These are my two Parfums de Marly that I own. I actually reviewed Layton Exclusif, I believe it was Layton Exclusif, on the channel. Check it out under my Parfums de Marly playlist, which will grow by one today with Shagya. I add every video I do to my specific brand playlist. You can go watch all the Amouage videos, all the Roja videos, all the Guerlain, so forth and so on, right? So this will be added to the Parfums de Marly playlist, if you will. And the thing about this fragrance is that it actually opens up with a very nice papyrus. And that papyrus note is dark. Actually, the very first spray kind of tricked me a little bit, and it had me almost distraught, because this papyrus hit, and I was like, oh shit, this is actually maybe going to be a good Parfums de Marly. I have no idea when this came out. I think it came out like a decade ago. But apparently the notes are bergamot in the top, with lime and pink pepper, and the heart of geranium, cedar, and oud, and a base of vetiver, lignum vitae, which is Gaiac wood, papyrus, and musk. That's the note listing. And apparently the perfumer is a woman named Sidonie Lancasor, I believe is how you pronounce that. If I mispronounce your name, Sydney, I apologize. But Shagya opens up with actually a papyrus note that I really liked. And I was sad because it disappeared like that. I mean, literally seconds. You get it, and you're like, oh, and it's gone. And instantly, it almost turns into this metamorphosis of like this bubblegum oud accord, okay? That's not fair. Bubblegum oud, it's not truly bubblegum oud, but it's kind of like the biggest blast of designer oud you could imagine, with a little bit of squeezed lime and bergamot on top, and this very generic smelling pink pepper, okay? And it is sort of something that I want to hate instantly. It's something I instantly want to get up here and just bash, okay? And it deserves to be bashed, honestly, because it starts off having promise for the slightest amount of time, and it's ripped away from it because I feel like they didn't want to do anything that was too challenging. Excuse me, they wanted to probably have something that was very easy to digest, but still give off that exclusive oud accord, right? And so I want to hate this. Unfortunately, I can't. My favorite part of this fragrance, though, I must admit, is the first hour. And I've only had a chance to spray this on my skin a couple times, okay? So I've worn this to bed once, and I have sprayed it twice today, and that's it. That's it. One here, one here. And those are the only times I've had a chance to spray this. So I'm not an expert at this fragrance by any means, but these type of, you know, kindnesses from the community, generosity from folks out there. I forgot who sent this to me, though, so whoever my perfume god person is for Parfums de Marly Shagya, thank you very much. Because otherwise, there's no way I would get to do this kind of video, because I would never own a bottle of something like this. And a couple fragrances jumped into my head instantly. When that papyrus note hit, At first, I was like, oh shit, this is going to go right down the path of Private Label, one of my favorite Cécile Zarokian fragrances. This is kind of what I was hoping for when I saw the papyrus, and I instantly smelled it. But no, it goes no. Private Label rips this fragrance to shreds. If I want a papyrus fragrance, I would much rather wear something like this. And even though there's no oud in here, there's a much deeper, darker, heavier, earthier vetiver in here. It's almost tarry in nature. And that papyrus note in here is stunning. It's everything you want a papyrus note to be. Private Label is what I would reach for if I wanted a proper papyrus note. But it's interesting because the other thing, as soon as that papyrus note disappeared and kind of went away and that citrusy, fresher take on oud hit, that fresh oud designer hit me. And it's this. Lalique Hommage à l'Homme. And it's funny because I actually ended up buying this for $35 with a body spray, like 250 mils of a body spray, or body wash, body wash, for $35, okay? This is 100 mil, I believe. Yes, 100 mil, okay? So with the body wash, $35, okay? And this is the fragrance that it kind of reminds me of. They're not one for one. I have the dry down of Hommage à l'Homme here. This has a little bit more violet leaf and a couple other things that you're not going to find in Shagya. This has some saffron, it has violet, it has black pepper instead of pink pepper, it has cistus, there's a little bit more labdanum in here, whereas this is more, I would actually say Shagya is even more designer than Lalique's Hommage à l'Homme, believe it or not. They both technically have an oud note, but it's that fresher designer oud note, okay? So the reason I bring this up, though, as far as a comparison goes, is that it's a great descriptor for Parfums de Marly. Because basically what this smells like to me, what Shagya smells like to me, is $35 juice, okay? $35 juice in a $330 bottle. And yes, that's what this goes for. 125 mils, $330. And here's what it says on the website. A combination of strength and harmony, Shagya surprises with its striking top notes and vigorous bergamot red berry accord. Okay, real quick, if there is a red berry accord, I think it just kind of blends with that geranium, and maybe that's where the other guy who reviewed this said that it's a rose oud, but it doesn't smell like any sort of rose oud I've ever smelled, in my opinion. Okay, just one Ram's opinion, but maybe that red berry mixes with the geranium somehow. I don't know. I don't get very much of a red berry accord. Maybe it blends in with that, you know, pink pepper, rosy pink pepper thing. I don't know. But it says, vigorous bergamot red berry accord before giving way to the softness of the woody and tender notes of papyrus and musk. I love how for $330 you get one sentence from Parfums de Marly about their fragrance. And so instantly it reminds me of this $35 designer perfume. And it's crazy because the top, once it switches, okay, and it gets into that pink pepper, designer smelling oud, it is unbelievably designer smelling to me. In fact, it almost makes me mad that I like the first hour, because I do. I actually really like the first hour of this fragrance. It's a softer, airier, fresher, cleaner oud, if that makes sense. But in a very designer take, that fresh squeezed lime, if you will, note comes and goes a little bit in the opening. But it's just unabashedly designer smelling. I mean, it has absolutely no shame. Unabashedly designer. So, no shame, sharp, peppery, rosy pink pepper smelling thing that you've smelled 1,000 times. If you're a frag head, I promise you, you have smelled Shagya. Even if you've never smelled it, you've smelled Shagya. It's one of those kind of fragrances. And there is no way of getting around it. It just reminds me of a $20 to $30 fragrance. That's just what it reminds me of. And I really think that my opinion on Parfums de Marly is that I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with this fragrance per se. I think that it does what it does for a certain group of people, for a certain crowd of people. But the symbolism of the brand, if you will, the audacity of the way that they market themselves with, you know, 1743 on the top, the 1743 here in the shield, you know, the horses, and the marketing is very Creed-esque to me, okay? Very Creed-esque, which there's nothing wrong with. I have a ton of Creeds, and I love them. Even though I don't believe one word that comes out of Creed's mouth as far as, we made this for the Queen of Spain, and Marie Antoinette wore this, and, you know, it's just ridiculous, in my opinion. I don't believe any of the back marketing of what a lot of these companies say. And Parfums de Marly falls into that. It really feels like it's marketed to people who want to wear $300 fragrances, but they don't want to really wear niche. You know, niche is maybe a little bit too much for them because they're going for compliments. So it's funny because if you go look at the write-ups on Parfumo or something like that, Fragrantica is perfect for this. Go to Fragrantica and every single complaint on this is, the projection is just not good enough. The sillage isn't enough. You know, that's what people who wear this care about. They want every girl in the room to smell them because they want a damn compliment. Life is not always about compliments. I hate to break it to you, but life is not always about getting a compliment. Sometimes you have to wear something for you. And I wear everything for me, to be honest with you. And the, like I said, the symbolism for this brand is hard for me to swallow. But what really let me down about this fragrance, to be honest with you, is because the first hour is the meat and potatoes of this fragrance. And I begrudgingly liked it. You know, that slightly sour oud. You know that designer oud. I don't even have to describe it to you. It's that slightly sour, woody smell that sometimes smells more like cedar or limonol and black oud mixture thing that, you know, gives off that just slight little bit of sour hint without really being too offensive because they want it to be mass appealing, right? But also they want to have the word oud in there so it smells expensive, so it sounds expensive to somebody coming in, like there's an exotic material in here. And so you've smelled this 1,000 times before, but what I don't like about the fragrance is I've got a 4-hour dry down here. And it definitely is soft. The people who say that projection gets lower and closer to the skin are 100% correct. But what it does that I really don't like is I thought it was going to redeem itself because the base of this fragrance is made up of Gaiac wood, which is like a smoky, woody type smell, and vetiver, which has some of that earthiness that I love in the papyrus, and papyrus, okay, and musk. And so the papyrus is really a base note. So as this continued to dry down, I was thinking, okay, maybe Parfums de Marly is going to redeem themselves in that smoky, dark, you know, think of old school Egyptian scrolls being lit on fire in the corner and just slowly burning to a crisp, right, to ash. That's what a proper earthy papyrus note should smell like. And here, what happens is it goes from something that I can begrudgingly say I like in the first hour, even though I don't like admitting that publicly. I do. I like these kind of oud fragrances. I just do. I'm a sucker for them. I have to admit, I just am. You know, I love even stuff like M7 and those kind of designer ouds. I just love them. I can't help myself. Tom Ford Oud Wood, I wore an entire bottle of the damn thing. Even though I think in my current journey now I've moved past that. I want to wear the Aries Ladores and stuff like that. You know, Ensars. It's still something that I love. Like if you gave me a bottle of this, I would probably wear it. Now, if you gave me a bottle, I'd probably spray it every 30 minutes or so just to kind of get that little bit of that opening if I did wear it as my scent of the day. But, so I don't necessarily think it's objectively a bad fragrance, but I really don't like what it does in the dry down. And this is going to be a cliche because this fragrance absolutely falls apart in the base. To me, it does. Because what ends up happening is the musk takes over, okay? So you get this strange, peppery smelling musk that basically smells like lotion. I mean, it literally smells like this. It smells like you're putting unscented, just this white, you know, this is the smell of the dry down right here of Shagya. That's it. This musky white smell. And I'm thinking, where's the papyrus? Where is the darker barbecue smelling lignum vitae? Where is the earthy vetiver? Where is any of that? All of it's been removed. This is a house that caters to folks that love wearing designer fragrances, but they want to wear a $300 fragrance just because they want to say they have a $300 fragrance. They want to show off. They want to do an unboxing of Parfums de Marly. Like, it makes them cool, right? That's what this house is going for, and there's obviously a market for it because they were purchased by some big venture capitalist firm, Advent Capital or whatever it is. I did a video on it. You can check that out. Them and their sister house, Initio, who they hate being called their sister house, but it absolutely is their sister house. And it's funny, I remember YouTubers from 5-6 years ago imploring us, no, they're not related in any way, they just use the same distributor. Right. So Initio fragrances offend me, honestly. Parfums de Marly fragrances, a lot of times, I don't think they offend me. I just think that they are so unbelievably overpriced. Like, you need to take that final digit off. This shouldn't be $330. This should be $33 is basically what this fragrance is to me. And, you know, like I said, I would wear it. I just don't like what it turns into. That generic lotion, suntan lotion smelling musk thing in the base. Really disappointing. Because the first hour actually had promise. The first seconds had big promise with that. Hit me with this papyrus note that I thought... And then I was like, oh, which is usually what happens with a Parfums de Marly fragrance. But that is the way the cookie crumbles, as they say. You know, that those first 5 seconds where I was like, wait a minute, and hope was just snatched away from me, which is kind of what I expected. So, but I do like doing these reviews because there's very few people that will do this, period. This is not the kind of thing that generates buzz, not the kind of thing that makes that brands happy that they want to send you free bottles, I'll tell you that much. And, you know, most of the reviewers that when you search for a fragrance, their reviews come up first. They're the ones who rush to get this out as soon as it's new. So whenever this came out, you can probably just see when it came out by the years the reviewers released their review. 6, 7, 8 years ago, whatever it is. And you'll see all the big reviewers released right there. So Shagya to me is... It's standard Parfums de Marly fragrance. Like I said, not a bad fragrance, but completely overpriced, and definitely not something that I would buy nowadays. But do I hate it? Even with the bad dry down, I don't necessarily hate the fragrance, like I do with some Initio fragrances. So, you know, that's just, you know, some reviews go this way. There needs to be someone, I think, that does... When you're a reviewer, you know, you can't be a reviewer if you're only a positive reviewer, in my opinion. Then you're just saying good things about everything. And so there has to be some sort of balance. But you have to have some sort of honesty as well with it. And so some of these are hard to do because people don't like getting up here and talking bad about a fragrance. There may be people out there that like this fragrance, that are offended by this. But that's just the way it goes. We've become... It's funny because so many people are so used to hearing nothing but good things on YouTube that if they hear anything that's not good, anything at all about a fragrance, especially the people who are maybe newer or just stumbled across my channel or other channels that do negative reviews, I almost feel like they're offended. Like, how could you say that about a luxury product like this? And it's funny, the different mindsets. But yeah, Shagya for me is a big no-no. No way would I ever buy this. You know, for $330, I'd save up my money and buy an Arise L'Adoré. And so that's kind of where I'm at. That's just where I'm at with my journey, especially with something like this with oud in it. I'm going much more to the artisanal brands as time goes on. But do I hate this? No. Would I wear it? Begrudgingly, yes. Maybe I don't even want to admit it, but I would. You know, I don't think it's terrible. It's just not exciting. Let's put it that way. It's not exciting. So if you have experience with Shagya, leaving the Austin Powers jokes out, do let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of Parfums de Marly Shagya. Apparently it came out in 2011, so there's the date. I should have looked harder. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching the late night insight video. I like doing these every now and then. I have so many samples that I can kind of do this on, so just putting my thoughts out there. I'll put it in the Parfums de Marly playlist. Do let me know what you think. Cheers, guys. Have a good night. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.